in order to be able to participate in social space, communicate with each other, you have to go through his property, as it were. We pay him a rent. We pay him a rent for his quasi-monopoly situation. So I think that in the intellectual property, that's an important way to say, it's not, you cannot deduce it. Bill Gates doesn't exploit very much, at least not, his workers and so on. You cannot put it in that way. It's intellectual, we are paying him rent. So, and I think the same is going with natural resources. Oil and so on is not for Marx a source of value. What we are paying when we pay for oil is rent. Incidentally, there is a nice irony here. When Marx in Capital explains why only human labor is the source of value, not natural resources, you know what is his example? Oil, precisely. A little bit ironic, taking into account how much money we have to pay to oil, but it is clear, that's my point. If you take either Microsoft program or oil, that the price we pay has nothing, okay, has something, but not a lot to do with money or work spent to produce these commodities. The way the price of Microsoft Windows goes up and down, it's not that Bill Gates says, oh, now I have to pay more programmers, I will raise the price. With oil, it's the same. The price fell, as you know, in the crisis, down, up. It's not because of production costs and then you charge the extra profit. It is rent. This, I think, points towards a very difficult, dangerous but potentially redemptive development. What is happening today, I think, it's not that we no longer have the working class, but it is divided more or less into three which basically fit these three domains, intellectual work, physical work, and so on. We have so-called intellectual workers classes in the broadest sense of scientists, journalists, professors, and so on. Then we have the old-fashioned material workers, and then those who provide more material resources. I think that three main classes which are systematically generated by today's capitalism are, again, intellectual laborers, the old manual working class, and then simply the outcasts, those who have to be displaced to get access to mining, and so on and so on. What is so interesting and the most dangerous development for me is that each of these three classes is more and more subclasses, rather precisely. There are three factions of the working class, is more and more developing even its own life world, ideology. For example, at least in the developed West, I don't know how it is here, you can immediately identify a member of intellectual class by the food he eats. They don't eat hamburger. They eat this disgusting healthy food, you know, a slice of salmon with 2 carrots and so on. They are usually more liberal, open, promiscuous, postmodern, even in religion. They like fake Buddhism, fake Oriental thought. The traditional working class is more conservative, religious, usually old family values, and so on. And then you have the outcasts. And it is crucial to take into account this division into three, because I claim that the entire ideological machine thrives on keeping these three parts apart, which is why they promote all these cultural wars and so on and so on. So again, I claim that I'm at the same time, now to really conclude, a pessimist and an optimist. I'm a pessimist because I don't think the game, the way we know it, liberal capitalism, can go on indefinitely. I think that the choice in not 100 years from now, now in the next decades, it's either a gradual return to, change, transformation of capitalism into a more authoritarian capitalism. This is one option, which shouldn't be neglected. That even in the West, there are clear signs in today's Italy, France, and so on, how the developed Western democracies are getting depoliticized, effectively more authoritarian. So I claim, but I use here the term socialism in a different way than you do. If by socialism we mean a rather reactionary thing, in the sense of asserting some kind of community values, more cohesion. I claim, ironically, the future will be either socialist or communist. By socialist, I mean a kind of authoritarian, fascist in a new way, organization of society, for example, ecological control and so on, control of immigrants and so on, through which capitalism will try to contain its contradictions or inventing new forms of communism. And so more and more there will be the proof that there will be chance for radical politics. The proof is precisely for me what people claim as the main counter-argument, the rise of religious fundamentalisms. You know, Walter Benjamin said something very nice. He said, every fascism is a sign of a failed revolution. And if there is somewhere this is true, it is the so-called Islamic fundamentalists in the Middle East. They are there because the secular left disappeared from the Arab countries. This is this is the ABC, the first step of radical politics. You read in the media, what are the struggles today? You read, fundamentalists, as if you read the media, the basic problem is liberal, permissive capitalism versus religious fundamentalists. The first step of the left is to see that this is not so much a false division as an immanent conflict to capitalism where both sides codepend on each other. It's capitalism itself which, through its dynamics, generates fundamentalism. A simple proof, if you need one, Afghanistan, which is today presented as the ultimate fundamentalist country. Wait a minute, I'm unfortunately old enough to remember 30, 40 years ago, Afghanistan was maybe even the most secular of Muslim countries in the Near East. It had, you remember, a secular pro-Western modernizer king. It had a very strong local communist party and so on. Then, when, you know the story, communists tried to take over, Soviet Union intervened, United States intervened and so on. It's through this globalization that Afghanistan became fundamentalist. This is absolutely crucial to learn. Fundamentalism is not the remainder of some dark past. It was generated. And the same goes for, my God, United States themselves. They have their own fundamentalism. Let's take one of the states, it's a crucial example, Kansas. You maybe know Wizard of Oz, over the rainbow, all that bullshit, no? But Kansas as a state is today the most fundamentalist Christian Bible Belt state. But till 20, 30 years ago, it was the most progressive state of the United States of the America. All big leftist populist movements, anti-racism and so on, started there. So you see how literally it is